From the 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studio, here's Steve Kaplowitz and Adrian Broadus.
Good to have you back here on a Monday afternoon. It's the 12th day of August, 2024. First week of exhibition play in the NFL, preseason in the books. Excited about that. Michael Plundo along with Alberto Urueta. You just heard from Adrian Broadus. I'm Steve Kaplowitz. It's good to have you back. 600 ESPN El Paso. 505-6009, our telephone number, 505-6009. That story you read about Hassan Reddick had to make me laugh. The Jets have to be one of the dumbest franchises in all of sports. They trade for a guy that was simply unhappy in Philadelphia because he wasn't getting a new contract last year of his deal. And they were already a good team. And he was upset because they didn't work. They'd rather ditch him for a third-round pick. It could be a second-round pick, a conditional third-rounder, rather than pay the man. The Jets get him, and somehow this delusional organization feels like, well, once he joins our team, sees New York City and Aaron Rodgers and the commitment to winning, he'll just play out his deal, and we're going to win we'll win a Super Bowl with him. What happens? He doesn't show up to mandatory camp, doesn't show up to training camp, and 3 weeks now he wants a trade. What a surprise. And the Jets are like, no, we're not going to trade him. We're just going to keep fining him. I mean, sometimes there just has to be a limit of stupidity when you talk about organizations. And this happens to be the team I root for. Dumb as rocks when it comes to the way they handle things. Like, did you really think that if he wanted out of Philly, he just didn't want to play in Philadelphia? Do you really think that acquiring a guy who wanted a new contract there was suddenly going to play out his contract in New York and do the same thing? And you gave up a third-round pick, which could be a second-round pick for Hassan Reddick. And now he's upset. Of course he's upset. When the Jets traded for him, I thought they were going to sign him. I didn't realize they were just going to expect him to show up and play. So, again, folks, this is what will drive you crazy. And Cowboys fans know they're going through it right now with CeeDee Lamb. The only difference is your owner will probably figure out a way to take care of the man and make it happen, most likely. I did love how the Jets' message to Hassan Reddick is, we're going to keep finding you and we're not going to trade you, despite your demands. And Jerry's message to CeeDee Lamb is, you're missed. We miss you. It's hilarious. Two completely different organizations, the way they treat their guys. And let's be honest, we all probably know what's going to happen. CeeDee Lamb will eventually get himself a new deal. They're not just going to allow their number one receiver to start the year holding out and missing time. They'll pay the man eventually, no matter how they have to do it. And the only question then is going to be, can CeeDee ramp up into game shape quick enough, or is he going to have a slow start after his new deal because he's missed all this training camp time? We don't know that. Hassan Reddick, on the other hand, look, I don't even understand why the Jets traded for him in the first place. They've got good young players on defense. They drafted Will McDonald last year. I mean, why did you draft an edge pass rusher if you're planning on trading for Hassan Reddick? It just didn't make any sense. This again, folks, you have to understand, there's a reason why the New York Jets have not won a Super Bowl in my lifetime. A lifetime that spans over 51 years because of stupidity like this. This is what I deal with on a regular basis. In fact, I started thinking about this, guys. All right, the three of you that are here, Alberto, Michael, and Adrian. Okay, think about this. Let's play a little exercise. The three of you, Adrian, you're the oldest of the three, right? And you're 27?
Correct.
Okay. Alberto, you're 26, right? You're 25. 25. And Michael, what are you, 21?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Perfect. So that means that, Adrian, you've lived a little longer than, you've more than doubled my life. Or in other words, if I was to double my life, I would be 50. Well, let's see. No, I'm 100. Let's play the other way around. If we double your life, you're 54.
Right.
So you would have a few years on me if we doubled your life. Okay. If we doubled Alberto's life, I'm still older than him. Obviously, I'm older than Plundo's parents, so we know that if we doubled his life, it wouldn't matter. So here's the question. The three of you, how many championships of your favorite sports teams have you witnessed in your lifetime? Okay, so let's talk about the pro teams. We can't count college because we all know at UTEP. We get that. And unless we were around in 1966, the answer would be 0. But how many, I guess you could call conference championships, but I'm not doing it. I'm talking about Super Bowl championships, Major League World Series titles, Stanley Cup titles, NBA Finals titles, and whatever other team you root for. If you root for soccer, winning that league or whatever. How many titles have you watched and been a part of in your lifetime? Alberto, well actually, I will start with Plundo because he's the youngest. Michael, how many have you seen?
So I saw the Pittsburgh Penguins go back-to-back in 2016 and in 2017, so that's 2 championships. Okay. And I've seen the Steelers in the Super Bowl, but unfortunately they lost to Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, so that doesn't count. Right. And then the Pirates, I think you know my answer there. So
0, yeah.
I've seen 2 championships.
Any NBA teams you root for?
I root for the Spurs, and they did win in 2014, yes. But I was not watching the NBA at the time, so I do not count that.
Fair enough. So they predated you as a sports fan, so you've seen 2. Okay, good. Now, Alberto, how many titles have you seen in your lifetime?
I'm gonna say 2.
Okay,
it's not bad. So Super Bowl,
yeah,
and then I got to see when I was Mexico wins like an under 17. Well, those kids aren't pro.
But you're counting.
Yeah, they won a FIFA World Cup
of
under 17. So
Got it. So you've seen 2. 2 in your lifetime.
Yeah, and then when I lived in Florida, I saw the Heat, and I vividly interacted with that team, but they're no longer my team, so I don't count it.
All those years you lived in Houston, you're not an Astros fan? You didn't get to enjoy and watch all those World Series titles and count those?
I completely forgot until you mentioned them.
Oh, my God. I don't know how
I tried to burn the Astros out of my memory for personal reasons.
Well, why? So you're not an Astros fan?
I am. I love them, and I'll support them when I love watching them.
So if you count those Astros World Series titles, what are we at now? 5?
4.
4? Okay.
4.
Okay. Fair enough.
Not bad. That's
Fair.
a lot.
4 for you. All
That's
right.
a lot.
2 for Michael. Adrian, your turn.
Yeah, I think I'm 4 as well. I'm going to just count the LeBron titles. So 2016, greatest title of my life. And then 2020. I'll count the bubble one, even though some people put an asterisk on that. And then the Rams, I saw them win the Super Bowl in 2000. I'm sure that's probably what made me a Rams fan. I'd have to ask my dad that to be exact. But 2000, I was 4 years old, maybe 3.5 or whatever. And I do remember the end of that, but that's about it. And then also just recently, 2022, the Rams winning the Super Bowl against the Bengals. I thought they'd never win another Super Bowl in my lifetime. They went, they had horrible seasons, especially in the early 2010s, but the Rams did it. So maybe there's hope for you, Steve.
So 4 for you, 4 for Alberto, 2 for Michael Plundo. Okay, and you're all in your 20s. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I'm 51 years old. I've seen 2 championships in my lifetime. 2.
Oh, that's brutal, Steve.
The 1986 Mets, when I was 13 years old. They beat the Boston Red Sox. I took a Polaroid photo of the television as Jesse Orozco's arms were in the air right after throwing the last strikeout and winning the World Series. So that I'll never forget. And the 94 New York Rangers Stanley Cup Championship victory over Vancouver. Okay? In 51 plus years, I have seen 2 championships. Count them. 2. Now, could I count WAC titles and trips to the NCAA tournament with UTEP? Absolutely. Could I count conference football championships when they shared the co-title? Yes, I could. But I'm not. Can't count. Listen, they haven't won a bowl game, so I can't count football. In basketball, despite going to the Sweet 16, which was a great run in 92, which I guess you could always count that as well if you want to, I'm just looking at the titles I've seen. Winning the whole thing. The whole shebang. 2. 2 of them in 51 years. And you want to know something else? I bring this up because of the Jets and the way they're handling things. And it's not looking good for the Mets in the postseason. The Knicks, who knows? The Rangers have been close. Point is, guys, I don't know when I'm going to see another sports title in my lifetime. I might never see another sports title in my lifetime. It's very possible. Because, if you grew up being a Cowboys fan and you're old enough to have at least grown up in the 70s, think about it. You saw their championships in the 70s, and then you saw the great run in the 90s, so you've had a chance to experience the greatness of the Dallas Cowboys. Even Texas Rangers fans watched the World Series title last year, or the Astros, or the Diamondbacks. Of course, the Yankees are spoiled. They've won forever, so that's a no-brainer, even though they're now in a little bit of a drought because of how tough it's been over the last 15 years. But you get the point, guys. You understand the point. And if you're a Chiefs fan, oh my God, you're loving life right now. Or what if you grew up being a Bulls fan with Michael Jordan in the 90s, or you're a Lakers fan, or a Celtics fan? You get the idea. Lots and lots and lots of championships to enjoy. I don't know, and I mean this, I don't know if I'll ever see one again in my lifetime. I have no idea. But the New York Jets, who are trying to get back to the game for the first time since the 1968-69 season when they won Super Bowl III, are not exactly putting themselves in a great position with a dominant defensive rusher who they traded a third-round, could be a second-round pick for, to try and put them over the top. That is why I brought this up. That is why this entire conversation all boils down to enjoy championships when you get them, because you never know if you will ever see another one again as long as you're alive.
I'll say this, Steve. As far as all your teams go, my money would be on the Knicks to win the first championship of everybody. Plundo and I were talking back here. Maybe the Rangers are also in that because they've got young talent and stuff like that. But windows of opportunity, I'd trust those teams right there. And you know what? Even the Hassan Reddick thing aside, I just feel like there's too many variables, too many factors on the football side to just hope for the Jets to make it all the way.
In 2011, Augustine brought 2 bottles of mezcal with a worm in it. And Chad Middleton, who at the time was where you were sitting, Adrian, one night after knocking down God knows how many natty lights, decided to chug the bottle of mezcal and chew the worm on a video that we uploaded to our YouTube channel that's still there today, okay? When Augustine asked me about the bottle, I said, I'll drink it when the Jets win a Super Bowl. I threw the bottle out a couple years ago because I decided this is never happening in my lifetime. So that bottle is gone, and I don't anticipate having Augustine bringing by any kind of phantom bottle of tequila or mezcal anytime soon and worrying about chewing a worm because they won the Super Bowl. Don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, sorry to say, but I agree with you. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Now, we've got a good show lined up for you today. We've got the Foss back with us today. He's going to talk Cowboys preseason. We've got Lane Frank coming by the studio today. The aforementioned River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studios for 600 ESPN El Paso. We're excited about that. So we're going to have one guest joining us on the Longhorn Distributing Hotline. We're going to have the other guest joining us inside is the aforementioned studios. We've got a lot going on. A lot happening. And we got a full 3 hours today. Well, now 2 hours and 44 minutes. But who's counting? We got a good show for you. 505-6009, our telephone number. The Olympics have come to an end. Is this the most gratifying and exciting Olympics you've ever watched? We could talk about that today. We can get fallout from NFL preseason week 1. We can talk baseball. We can talk any sport you want. UTEP football closing in on the start of their 2024 season. As you might imagine, we got a ton to get to. We'll do it all right after Charlie One, who has this traffic update for us. .21 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. 505-6009. That is our telephone number. 505-6009. You know that music. It's that time of year. Time for us to say hello to the Foss. Steve Foster joining us from Laying Down the Law. Heard Sunday mornings on ESPN San Antonio. And with us right now from, it sounds like I-35, or at least maybe it's the Loop. Maybe it's Highway 1. I'm not even sure where he is. Where are you driving out right now there, Foss?
And Foss is making a move back. Got some treatment, man. You know, I got banged up over these last couple years, man. And so I found this is great. I want the listeners, and I hope we have this in El Paso. It's called EE System Therapy. And it's the craziest stuff ever, Cappy. I'll send you you and Adrian, a little YouTube clip, but it has changed my life, and just an unbelievable treatment for folks that have pain and a bunch of different things. And so just working it out, man. And today, starting off the week right, talking to y'all, getting some treatment in and making moves.
By the way, does EE stand for Energy Enhancement? Is that what you're doing?
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
All right. Good to hear, man. Good to hear. I'll say this. I have no idea if there's one in El Paso or not. But you know what? Hey, if there is, that would be great. If not, looks like you got to go all the way out to Irving or someplace else to go find one, which is, that's part of the deal.
Hey, we may have to go in business on this one, Cappy. I know there's not too many things that are can't miss, but the health benefits have been unbelievable. In less than a month, I got the tip from, of course, he's been on the station with me, Dean Cain, and he does traveling all over the Big Blue Marble, and one of the guys who's friends with Tony Robbins, through Roger Cain, Dean's older brother, the two girls, his girlfriend and his girlfriend's sisters, married to a guy who had access, and again, any type of pain, look it up. I mean, it looks crazy. It is. You just sit in a room. You just sit in a room, Cappy. It's unreal. Kind of like if Patrick Mahomes goes 3 for 3 in these Super Bowls, it'd be unreal.
Well, maybe it'll happen. Until then, we'll just have to wait and see what will happen with CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys and Jerry trying to lock that down. And in the meantime, their first exhibition game yesterday, they lose 13-12 to Adrian's Rams. That is the takeaway from this one. A game in which, get this, Stetson Bennett throws 4 picks, 4 interceptions, and yet the Dallas Cowboys could not capitalize more than kicking a bunch of field goals to try to win this game.
Yeah, before you jump in, Foss, I just want to say that this game was over. I was texting Rams friends. This is an awful quarterback right here in Stetson Bennett, who obviously went through something off the field last year, in the reason why he wasn't even a part of the team, but threw 4 interceptions, just looked awful, was completely misreading everything, and then he has the ball with less than 2 minutes to go, and I turned the game off. I was so upset. And then I get a text like, OMG. And then I have to get back on, and I find out that he led the game-winning drive, and they converted the 2-point conversion. But this is all meaningless unless Stetson Bennett actually makes the roster, which is probably a no-go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a preseason game. And listen, take all the wins you can. That's a life lesson. But it doesn't really count. It's just like Dak going 12-5 and then getting to the playoffs and getting beat by Jordan Love. So 12-5, what did it mean? I still think we have watered down the purpose of the National Football League. And I think if you could go to Vincent T. Lombardi's grave, whose name is etched on the Super Bowl trophy, I don't think he would say, we're playing for the regular season. The reason why it's not the Tom Landry award or trophy is because Lombardi beat the Cowboys enough times that they named the trophy after him and not Tom Landry. So winning the big game matters and means something to me and Vince.
Yeah, I think most Cowboys fans would tend to agree on that one. Meanwhile, you think about what happened yesterday, and of the 4 interceptions that the Dallas Cowboys had, probably Marquise Bell is the only one that really, for sure is going to make the team. Maybe Eric Scott Jr. makes it. Julius Wood, Brock, Mogensen? I don't know. I mean, Foss, you tell me. The defense made more than their share of plays. They gave Trey Lance a lot of time to run the offense yesterday. A lot. Did you see enough out of Trey Lance to feel any better about him at quarterback than maybe this time last year?
Well, one, it's great to see the defense, who should be ahead of the offense at this point in camp, produce and grab turnovers. So the Zimmer hire, so far so good. Offenses, sometimes they score, sometimes they don't in preseason. Trey Lance didn't have the turnovers. Right now, I think he would be ahead of Bennett when it comes to quarterback. I mean, I don't want quarterbacks turning over the ball. And so whether you win the game or not is immaterial because, again, what you see in preseason and practice, most of the time you see in the game. Now, there's guys, as we all know, that are not practice players, but it's a very small percentage that all of a sudden just show up in the game and don't have a great practice week.
That's true. That is true. But again, there was a lot of guys being rested. A lot of guys didn't play on the offensive side of the ball. Rico Dowdle did. He had only three carries. You saw little Cooper Rush. Cooper plays and really only gets 3 passes to throw. Completes 2 of them. So, most of this game was the Trey Lance showcase is what it was. And you want to know something? I guess if there's one silver lining, if you're a Cowboys member, forget the fans. The Cowboy organization, they want to see more Trey Lance. Especially with this last year of Dak Prescott, they want to have a better idea of knowing what they have right there.
Yeah, I agree. But remember, kind of the last great performing quarterback, Tony Romo, wasn't highly touted. I mean, Cooper Rush may be your guy. You don't know. I mean, it's so weird. No one thought Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, was going to win a playoff game or even be on the roster. It's very interesting when you get people who just love to compete. They don't have to be the best athlete at quarterback. Tom Brady, Eli Manning, you don't. But you can still win Super Bowls as long as your team believes in you and you can get it done. And it could be Cooper Rush, could be Trey Lance if there's no Dak Prescott. And, again, the team's going to have to make plays. Your quarterback isn't the one making the great sideline catches. The quarterback's not making the one cut and go for 60 yards and a rushing touchdown. But if that quarterback is a great leader, I don't care what his athletic ability always is. You saw what happened to Lamar Jackson. He should have been running last year in the playoffs. He loses. His mind was not where it needed to be to get a win for the Ravens. So athleticism doesn't wow me in a football game. Tackling somebody at the point of attack, picking up first downs, catching passes, Julian Edelman, dudes like that, back old school Steve Largent, Drew Pearson, that's guys I want playing football. It's a completely different sport than the USA track team who can't get a handoff right in the sprint relay.
But Foss, when it comes to, just to hammer this home, when it comes to football, it's changed a lot more where now this is more of a quarterback's league. So whether it leads to the wins or losses or not, everybody's going to fixate on Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy at the end of the season if they don't reach a certain point. So, as we're talking here preseason, and you alluded to the end of the season, which is the Lombardi Trophy, if these two aren't part of that, a Super Bowl run and a legit contending Super Bowl run, I don't think Dak or McCarthy will be part of the future for Dallas. It feels like kind of a do-or-die year right here for Dallas.
Okay, I absolutely agree with you, Adrian, but it's been a quarterback league. You don't think Captain Comeback Roger Staubach wasn't the marquee for the Dallas Cowboys before you were born? He absolutely was. You don't think that when you go back and look at Bart Starr, who won the first 2 Super Bowls, he absolutely was the guy for Lombardi. And you've watched the special on NFL Network about Bart Starr. You know, it's always been the quarterback. High school, college, Album Park, Optimist, it was always about the quarterback. It may be more emphasis today, gentlemen, but it's always been a quarterback deal when it comes to football. And nobody better than the quarterback. Montana, you name it, Bradshaw, all about the quarterback, gentlemen, all about the quarterback.
More with the Foss as we continue here, bottom of the hour. Let's go over to Michael Plundo and get our first of 3 SportsCenter updates here at the bottom. 49 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. Lane Frank's still to come on the show. He's been gone all summer, but Lane's back in town, and he's going to join us here on the program. Lines are ringing in, 505-6009. That is our telephone number to get into the program, 505-6009. I thought Foss was... Listen, we all know, if you've listened to Foss on this radio show for the last few years, you know his dislike for Dak Prescott, who he kept referring to as Dakota during the conversation. But, Foss is not a believer, and I understand why. I mean, Prescott is just like Romo in the sense that both great regular season quarterbacks, popular quarterbacks, who have shown time after time they can't win in the playoffs. It's as simple as that. So, there's not really a lot of difference between the two when you think about just how good they've both been during the regular season, and unfortunately, how they've both come up shy throughout their careers in the playoffs, which definitely makes this year an intriguing one if you're a Cowboys fan, especially if it means trying to, extend Prescott to give others a chance. It's the last thing you want to do is, make sure you take care of CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons and all the others by making it easier on your team's salary and extending one Dak Prescott. Let's go to Domingo. He joins us next on the show. Domingo, happy Monday. What's going on, man?
Happy Monday. First of all, I've been trying to talk to you for fire for the Olympic conclusion, but no doubt.
Why is it that every time you talk to me, you always press a button while you're talking? How do you do that when you're on a cell phone and you're in the middle of talking and all of a sudden, in the middle of the conversation, I hear this? Well, I can't even do it on my phone. No, my phone doesn't even work. That's terrible, Adrian. I'm trying to press a button, and I can't even hear it on my end. Hang on one second. Let me try that one more time. Yeah, like that. You're in the middle of talking, and all of a sudden, I hear this, Domingo. What's going on with that?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know either. I'm not pressing the button. What's going on with you there?
I'm not pressing the button either. I'm using my AirPods to talk to you.
Come on, man. You got to stop with that. What's going on with you? What are you doing to me? See, you did it again. What are you doing? Oh, come on, man. This is, I don't know if I can handle this. Adrian, Domingo, hit me up on the app. We'll get you on the app today. We'll do it that way. Man.
You know what? I think you wanted to talk about the Olympics closing, and maybe you just wanted to say how great Team USA was. So, there you go.
By the way, that was hilarious. I love Domingo. That guy's the best. Hey, I watched closing ceremonies last night. I did see those. I watched them live at 1, and then I kind of tuned in and out because at times I was watching, the Cowboy game was on. By the way, do you know that you had to watch the Cowboys locally on channel 9-2 because the Olympics were on the main NBC channel yesterday, and the only way you're getting that Cowboys preseason game unless you're watching it on the NFL Network, which, did anybody, was the game on here or was it blacked out?
So it was blacked out on YouTube TV on NFL Network, so there you go.
Wow. So you had to see it locally on channel 9-2. I wonder how many people actually went through their over-the-air antennas just to see if they could pull that feed in.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I got a chance to watch it, but I was struggling like others were. And that you know what, I was listening to our coverage on KLAQ, our partner station, 95.5. They've got all the preseason games as well. So if you're struggling to find what channel the Cowboys are on, just listen to 95.5 KLAQ. We'll definitely have it.
That's the only constant every year when it comes to Cowboys football. Instead of trying to hunt around and find it somewhere on television, you know where it's going to be every week. The same place it's been.
That's right.
95.5 The Q. With Brad and Babe and Christy. What a team. What a team.
What a team.
Did any of you guys watch closing ceremonies yesterday? No?
No, I did not.
Interesting. No. Everybody's shaking their head.
I watched a lot of Friday and Saturday Olympics. Did not watch the closing ceremony yesterday.
Did anybody get up at like 6:30 in the morning yesterday on the app and watch Denmark kick Germany's ass in the handball gold medal game?
Oh, no, but you had a rooting interest there.
Oh, big time. Well, my father-in-law is from Denmark, and on my wife's side of the family, we got a lot of family still in Copenhagen. So, yep, I had the red and white on. I was going for Denmark, and they took Germany to the cleaners, man. That handball team is like the 92 dream team of handball is what it is. They're that much better than everybody. And Germany had no chance. None. Wiped right off the face of the handball court against Denmark yesterday. And by the way, you weren't going to watch that on local television. That was only available using the Peacock app and picking whichever sport you wanted to watch, which I did a lot of that. I don't know about you guys, but I did a ton of Olympic surfing on the Peacock app to find what I wanted to watch. Great. Silence. Dead silence.
Oh, it's
which tells me you guys don't watch the app. You guys are just watching whatever NBC was feeding you here locally, right? Is that pretty much it?
Most definitely. I looked back and Adrian was on the phone. But I like kind of going with the flow because sometimes you don't really know what to watch. And what I like is that some TV stations kind of bounce you around to different things that are happening. That's what I like. Just kind of show me the good stuff, show me the important stuff, and as it's happening, that's how I'll watch it. That's how I like to consume
I am convinced that app-based sports TV is forget the future. We're there already. For people I'm the exact opposite. I love the opportunity to watch whatever I want to watch, whatever feed I want to watch, whenever. On demand, live. It's the greatest thing ever. Instead of hoping you go on live television with one of your channels and something's there. That I can't do anymore.
You know, the best example of this last weekend was Alcaraz versus Djokovic last weekend. There's nowhere to watch it, and then you're also trying to watch the final of golf for the Olympics as well. Nowhere to watch it, so you just use the Peacock app. You have one on your TV, and then you have your phone so you could stream both things at once.
I still don't understand how Alcaraz and Djokovic was not live when that thing was going on.
That's crazy, right?
It seems like a huge miss. They're so focused on the Americans that when you get two incredible world talents playing in a sport that should be what? Listen, we watch the French Open all the time. We see the U.S. Open and Wimbledon. Why can't they give that to you as well? Because it's not U.S.
Huge stage right there, man. They missed out on that.
Agreed. All right, 1 down, 2 to go. When we come back, plenty more. Lane's going to be dropping by our 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studios. Excited about that. More calls coming in as well. 600 ESPN El Paso. Hour number 2 underway. We'll get to Cruz in a moment as we continue here on Sports Talk. This came in from Ray Work Productions on Twitter. Hey, Steve, what do you think about the CeeDee Lamb Hollywood Brown conspiracy? People are freaking out because they think he wants to go to the Chiefs. What essentially happened here was that CeeDee Lamb removed the Cowboys from his social media during this contract holdout and added a photo of him with Hollywood Brown when they were teammates at Alabama. And they both put these photos of each other on. Look, the best one was when Jerry Jones said, with contract talks involving CeeDee Lamb, I don't have any urgency to get it done. This was on Thursday, and CeeDee responded with an LOL, which is pretty funny. I mean, I'll be honest with you, that is pretty entertaining. Look, he's in the last year of his rookie deal. He's making almost $18 million. Adrian, if CeeDee Lamb wants to leave the Cowboys, he can leave them after this year and make a fortune from somebody that's going to pay him an arm and a leg.
Yeah, they would, but I think it'll end up being the Cowboys. If they don't, it's a huge mistake, and one that is pretty. I mean, come on, man, it's a layup right here. You have somebody like CeeDee Lamb, a once in a generation type of talent. You just pay the guy. And as far as him saying things like LOL, he's been pretty quiet this entire process. I mean, throughout the entire contract negotiations. In fact, he held a camp not too long ago in Dallas, and he was said he told reporters, "I'm not going to field a single question about my contract." So he's been pretty quiet about this kind of stuff and holding out here with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I get it. I just feel like, you know what, there'll be 29 teams in the league all wanting CeeDee Lamb if he leaves Dallas after this season. It's going to be incredible the kind of money he'll end up getting on the open market.
Right, and I just feel like, if it's a new team, or I should say a new coaching staff and maybe a new quarterback next year or whatever, he's the guy who helps you sell jerseys, so why would you let him go?
No, ask Jerry that one, right? Really, I mean, aren't you so interested to see if Jerry runs it back with the same team, doesn't give anybody raises, doesn't bring anybody in, just keeps everything status quo going into the season?
I'd be shocked because that's unlike him. He usually does deals at the 12th hour, or the 11th hour, I should say, right before. I mean, I used the Zeke comparison last week, or the example last week, but it could happen again with Parsons and CeeDee Lamb getting deals very late into the process.
We're going to bring Lane Frank to the show here in a moment, but first let me say hello to Cruz. He's joining us to begin hour number 2, 505-6009, our telephone number. How you doing, Cruz?
I'm doing okay, bud. Hey, I'm making a comment about the Cowboys. They all seem to, they don't get up for the big games, even during the regular season, much less during the playoffs. It's a team sport, and they're at the end, Dak Prescott is trying to get something done, make something happen. But you have the offensive, the offense not playing well, the defense not playing well either. If you remember some of those regular season games last year, and when they go into the playoffs, it's the same thing. It's just like they're not up for these games for some reason. We need to get some impact players that are going to assert themselves, that are going to make themselves heard and felt, and just find somebody like with Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. These guys would go out there and talk to the team, and they'd be out there ready to play. I remember how they fall behind against San Francisco, and they wouldn't lose it, and they would gradually come back, and win the games. I remember that.
Cruz,
we need players like that.
Here's the problem, Cruz. We're talking almost 30 years ago. I mean, things change. People change. Times change. The game changes. Everything's different than it was in the days when the triplets were ruling football. And unfortunately, that was a dynasty for the Cowboys. They haven't had a dynasty since. Think about what's happened since that dynasty. You had one in New England. You've got one right now in Kansas City. There's other teams that have started to put their dynasties together. And for those other teams, they didn't let their ownership get in the way of trying to ruin it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Cruz. Thanks for the phone call. Thanks for getting in. Yeah, I feel like a lot of fans would like to go back to the old days when it comes to sports, when their teams are winning titles. He's back. School started last week. He is in town, at least for the moment. I mean, this guy's got the busiest schedule of anybody here at this radio station. Nobody else is busier than Lane Frank, who is now a junior at Coronado. He is the host of the Schoolyard Sports Podcast. God only knows what episode they're on since we haven't spoken to Lane in months. But he's back, he's here, and he joins us to begin hour number 2 of the program. Welcome aboard. How are you?
I'm great. Great to be back, guys. Glad to be back in this studio. It's a different sense being in the studio with you guys than calling in. I don't like to call in that much. It's not that fun. I get to call in with you guys. Spotty internet, not as fun. I don't get to make fun of you in front of your face. It's all different. When I'm in the studio, we get to jab at each other in front of each other. It's more fun that way. Really glad to be back. Glad to be back in El Paso. Glad to get in the full swing of things to school. And we got football season coming up.
You look taller.
5'10".
You're my size now. You've grown.
You're taller than me. You're telling me you're taller than me.
I'm 5'10".
I did not know you were taller.
You're taller than all of us, Lane. I think you tower over all of us.
We'll check at the break who's taller, you or me.
Lane just has great hair. That's what it is. He's got that extra layer of hair, and it just it gives him an extra couple of inches on his height. Although, you know what? Adrian's got a really good head of lettuce too. Like, you look at Adrian.
Growing it out, Lane.
Adrian's growing out his lettuce. I saw that when I walked in. I was like, dang, Adrian's growing out his hair.
What do we think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? I need honesty.
I give it a thumbs up. You know,
Okay.
I was growing out my hair this summer. I cut it down a little bit about a week ago. So I like the way your hair is right now. It's pretty long.
I want to know where it's going to go. Like, what are you planning on doing with that hair of yours after you're in the middle of it? So how long do you want it to grow out?
I was actually supposed to get a haircut yesterday. I didn't make it, didn't get to the haircut. So maybe one more week. Every week I say just one more week. So maybe one more week.
Interesting. Would you ever want to grow a ponytail?
No ponytail. Just a flow.
Just a flow.
Just a medium haircut. That kind of thing. Nothing long.
How was the summer?
Great summer. You know, I had a great time in New York and Europe. It was just a great time.
Excellent. And now you're back. How's school so far? A weekend to Coronado. How are things shaping up as far as your junior year?
You know, junior year is pretty tough. Handling it well, though. You know, taking a lot of hard classes. Tennis has been great so far, so it'll be a fun year.
Good. Are you projected to be for singles, like in the top group? How's that going to work for tennis?
Let's hope so. Let's hope top 6 for singles this year.
Top 6. And then doubles, you're already in the number 1 team?
Not number 1, but, in the line for doubles.
Okay. So you've been near the top group since in doubles. You've always said that for you, doubles has kind of been your ticket coming in as a freshman at Coronado, right?
Definitely.
Okay. That sounds good. How much Olympics did you watch?
Watched a lot of the Olympics, mostly basketball. But did you see my rant on the Olympics that I posted on Schoolyard Sports?
Would you like me to play that and let people listen to your rant from your Schoolyard Sports handle?
It's pretty long, but...
How long is it? How long did you go?
I'll check. It's on Instagram and Twitter, I'm pretty sure.
All right.
Maybe the Twitter's like the shortened version.
That would actually help me since this is we do have a 3-hour show today, so if you really want to go with the full rant, we could.
It is 3 minutes, 49 seconds for the full version on Instagram.
Wow. And then how far did you cut it down to Twitter and X?
Let's check.
I'm looking right now.
I don't even know if we cut it down on Twitter.
I see the world champions. Let me see, when did you...
Nope, 3 minutes, 49 on Twitter.
When did you post it? What day?
Posted it 4 days ago, so yeah, it's still the full version on Twitter.
All right,
3 minutes, 49 seconds.
4 days ago is what I'm looking at. This is at the Olympics Need to Change. All right, let me let people listen to a little bit of this. You ready?
Yeah, I don't want to hijack your show.
This is your I like the segment. This is your take of the week. Here we go, folks. This is the take of the week from Lane Frank on Schoolyard Sports. What episode were we on when you talked about this?
177.
177. So we're doing 178 this week?
178 this week.
All right, here's his take of the week.
Now, take of the week. Not too many take of the weeks left, honestly. I do have a big one today. The Olympics flat out are not appealing. Not as appealing as they should be. Tell me, how many times this year have you sat down and watched the Olympics and said, ooh, can't wait to watch the Simone Biles gymnastics match. It sounds great, but then you can't find it. Then you can't do this. It's like, oh, discus, that's great. Can't find it, can't do this. Track, oh, I want to watch this massive race. When is it on? When is it this? When is it that? I get the argument that says, okay, maybe it's better to watch it in Europe because the Olympics this year are in Europe, the time change, and when it's in 2028 in LA, it'll be so much better. I care to disagree. The Olympics are overpopulated. They're not at the highest level anymore, and they're flat out not appealing. The way to fix that could be maybe eliminate the sports where Olympics aren't the highest level. Basketball? You think LeBron James wants another championship more than he wants another Olympic gold medal? You think in the GOAT debate, they're going to say, well, LeBron had more gold medals than Michael Jordan? No, they're not going to say that. You think when Scottie Scheffler's career is done, they're going to say, oh, he won this many gold medals over this many Masters. I think Scottie Scheffler would win a Masters in a heartbeat than he would taking over a gold medal. Now, he's done both in the past calendar year, which is great. But I think the Olympic gold medal is a little bit just icing on the cake. See it for Novak Djokovic. And icing on the cake for a great career. Now, for someone like Noah Lyles, this is his life. He trains 4 years to do one race. Usain Bolt, that was his life. Nobody knows who Usain Bolt is if he trips after 4 years of Olympic training. Because nobody's going to watch Usain Bolt race outside of the Olympics. Just like nobody watches Noah Lyles race outside of the Olympics. Just like nobody knows if there's even a gymnastics league outside of the Olympics to watch Simone Biles. There might be. I might be offending somebody with that. I don't really care. Olympics are tough to watch because it's overpopulated. I'd love to have just those sports. Just the sports where it's the highest level. Discus, highest level. Boxing, not the highest level. Why is boxing in the Olympics? There can't even be pro boxers. You have to be an amateur to be boxing in the Olympics. Makes no sense to me at all. Flag football is joining the Olympics 2028. Will that be interesting? No. We all know Team USA is going to run away with it. We all know Tyreek Hill is going to make some joke of it. Travis Hunter will probably be playing it by then. It's going to be a great event to watch at times, but then it's going to fall off after one Olympics. I mean, Winter Olympics are actually more appealing to watch now than the Summer Olympics. They're at a better time. Not everybody has time in the summer just sit down and watch the Olympics all day. In the winter, it's like, okay, let's sit down, let's watch this. Let's watch ice skating. Let's watch snowboarding, because I don't know who these people are, but these are the highest level. I'm not so interested in watching, let's say, Olympic basketball, and it's also hard to watch Olympic basketball because you don't know the times, you don't know this. Had someone tell me today, I didn't even know the game was on until the starting lineup got announced. I agree with them. USA playing Team Brazil, not so appealing to me. Again, Olympics are not as appealing as they should be. It should be the main sports in the Olympics where it's the highest level. Swimming. Does Michael Phelps swim outside of the Olympics throughout his entire career? Did he? No. It's all just training. There's no league. Trained 4 years for this one event. That's what I love to see in the Olympics. Might be heartbreaking, might be amazing, but that's what Olympics is and should be. I love it when there's emotion when somebody wins a gold medal in the Olympics. Jason Tatum wins an Olympic gold medal. It's like, that's cool. Let's add that to the trophy chest. I'm an Olympic gold medalist for being a small part of a team that they knew was going to win from the jump. It's my take of the week. You might not like it. You might love it. Leave your thoughts on that in the comments. My take of the week. The Olympics are not as appealing as they should be. It needs to change.
Oh, I like that. You got applause in that thing after you were done with that. That was good. Very good. That was from 177?
177.
Okay. Number one. I have a lot to say about what you just said, but I've got a break I got to get to. So let me take the break. We'll come back with this take and a whole lot more. Lane is back. He's talking about how the Olympics has to change. I feel it already has changed, and Lane hasn't embraced the change. I'll explain what we're talking about right after Charlie 1, who has this traffic update. Get to Brian from downtown in a minute. Lane Frank, the host of Schoolyard Sports, he just finished 177, joining us here on the program. You happy getting a little musical selection that fits more of your style?
Getting a little walk-up song, Mark Vientos walk-up song. Had to steal it from him. He's great at hitting at home, so got to steal some of his powers.
Yeah, Mets won 4 of 10 on that road trip. They got killed by Seattle. You might as well not even have shown up in that series.
Rough.
It was rough.
Outscored 22-1.
Yep, that's right. You're not going to win too many series or too many games when you get outscored 22-1, are you?
Not going to win any games unless, you win one of those games 1-0.
Now, I want to get to Brian from downtown in a minute, but I got a question for you, okay? Because you're a pretty smart guy. You're young. You're technologically savvy. You're very big on the on Instagram and social media. For somebody like yourself, young kid, all the future in front of him, why would you not consume the Olympics on the Peacock app? And why in the heck did you actually watch it on over-the-air television where you basically have to see whatever they're going to show you rather than pick and choose whatever you want to watch? It's such a different way to watch the Olympics. And it's been around for a million years because even before these apps, they used to have what they called pay-per-view. And when you watched it on the 90s and on pay-per-view, you could also do the same thing. Choose whatever sport you wanted to watch and not have to worry about what was on the main network spot.
To be honest, I've never really been too into the Olympics, and I'm still not too into the Olympics. If I think I really wanted to, I would go to Peacock, but there was no need to.
Okay, so you're just not into the Olympics.
It wasn't appealing. I was overwhelmed by everything to where I was like, all right, I'm just not going to look at anything.
Oh, man, I was digging the Olympics. I said before you came on the show, I was watching handball yesterday morning. I went up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it just ended the gold medal match, and I rewound it on demand, watched Denmark whack Germany, and just wiped them right off. I was like, yes, that was good stuff. See, I'm into sports that I get it with basketball, although you have to admit, the U.S. gold medal match in the women's game yesterday was pretty entertaining. It was a 1-point game when they beat France.
I didn't watch, but yes, I did hear. It was incredible. And USA getting 2 wins over France in the finals in France. Couldn't script it any better.
Yeah, that was big. And the women's game, Adrian, I don't know if you saw it, but the last-second shot where her foot was on the line, otherwise that game's going into overtime. What an ending.
Yeah, I mean, just to jump in real quick, I love the balance, right? Because you had the aging stars. It kind of reminded me of the men's team for the women for the gold medal. They had the aging stars, also mixed with some of the new stars who we're seeing like day-to-day in the WNBA.
And the coolest thing, if you watch it on the app, is then you're in control. And that's the most important thing. I want to make sure I get this clear. Because when you watch it on broadcast television, You're completely not in control. You're watching whatever they want to give you. And it's probably with Jimmy Fallon, who you could do without, and you've seen enough of him, and you're watching whatever they throw at you. But when you've got it on the app, and it's the same thing with MLB TV and all the other sports packages that are app-based, including the Sunday Ticket, you're in control. You can pick and choose whatever you want to watch, live, taped, it doesn't matter. And who cares about the 8-hour time difference if you're basically customizing the Olympics to your liking? And that's the coolest thing. If you're a tennis guy, you could have watched Roland Garros for a week and seen all the tennis you want to watch.
Well, I did, because I was more interested in that. I did watch Tennis Olympics, actually, which was great to watch.
You're a tennis fan.
Of course.
100%. Did you watch a lot of Ledecky destroying the competition in swimming?
Unfortunately, did not. I did watch Leon Monchard win, though. I did watch Leon Monchard, new guy from France, breaks so many records.
Yep, that was also a good storyline. That's what I'm saying. There's some good things. In track and field, I like watching the sprints. And now, I know you don't watch this because you obviously don't follow it, but they do have track and field world championships every year that are in the summer that show you a lot of the same exact races you see during the Olympics. But if you're not a track and field fan, or you're not just surfing around on a weekend when they're putting it on in prime time on NBC, you're not going to know that that's on.
Exactly. It's tricky. Like I said, I don't even know if there's a track league. I mean, these guys train all the time. So, like I said, nobody's going to know Usain Bolt's name without the Olympics, that gold medals that he's won. And I think I might be right there, because say if Usain Bolt won so many world track championships and won no gold medals, do you think you would know who he is?
Would you like to see basketball go back to amateurs and not pros, even if the U.S. doesn't win anymore? Because that's the caveat. The reason they went back to the pros was the United States got tired of losing, so they decided, let's let our best go up against the best around the world and start winning titles. Because think about it. If you've got the U.S. Olympic team of all college players, they're probably not going to win, but for some of these kids, this could be their only shot of their lives ever trying to get a gold medal.
I want to see 25 under, like how soccer is in the Olympics. 25 under. That'd be a great team.
Say that again.
That's what I was going to say.
25 under.
All right. Let me go to Brian from downtown. He's been hanging patiently. Let's see what he has to say. 27 past the hour as we continue on Sports Talk. Brian, welcome.
Nice, good entertainment this afternoon, gentlemen. But, of course, I have to be the old fogey that calls in, right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching World of Sports. But here's the thing. You have to realize that the Olympics is a television show. It's not the Olympics like it used to be. It's a TV show, and we're spoiled in the United States because of all the medals and the professionalism in sports. And you can't turn back the clock. That's not just basketball that's professional. You hit on it. These are all professional tennis players. You don't want to watch a guy that's some guy that's 17 and under in the finals of the Olympics in tennis. You want to watch the best in the world, and you get that. And the same thing with golf. I think golf was great. Look, both women and men, it was really good entertainment. But I think you can't turn back the clock, and it just is. I can't. But you know what? Please, no more Martha Stewart, no more Snoop Dogg. I'm sorry. Yeah. These people are not broadcasters. They're entertainers.
Did you have enough of Jimmy Fallon, or are you on the in the minority of people that actually like him?
No, I don't like him. But he's the third wheel in that, because he was a little lower profile than the other two I mentioned.
I just felt sorry for Tirico, because poor Tirico had to deal with that in the studio for 2 weeks.
Because he's a professional, and the other three are amateurs.
Yeah, well.
And that's another thing, too. These people that are broadcasting the events are former athletes, and they're not professional broadcasters either. But, I mean, as time goes on, after they've been doing it for 10 years or something, they do become professional at it. But these rookies, the ones that were competing for gold medals last Thursday, they're not broadcasters.
Brian, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You're old enough to be Lane's grandpa, okay? Without dating you, that's about right. So here's
I'm a good friend of his grandpa.
I know you are. But here's the question, okay? Lane, in a couple of years, will be, going out of his teen years into his 20s, and ultimately, he's going to be kind of that demo that they're going to be looking for years to come. And he's completely not interested in the Olympics. And I don't know if there's a lot of teenagers that are interested in the Olympics. So as people of that age continue to get older and watch, this every 4 years, I wonder how they're going to be able to try to keep people entertained and wanting to turn on the TV and watch the Olympics. We grew up on it. We've been watching it ever since we were young, and we understand it. But nowadays, I feel like everything has changed with how people consume sports and entertainment on their devices. And I wonder what they're going to try to do to make Olympics more mainstream here in the States.
Well, I think that, it's kind of a good thing, bad thing. I think that the newest technology is great for the Olympics because you can watch that match at a logical time instead of 3 a.m.
That's right.
Although I did set my alarm and I watched several of the events live. I really did have to say. I'm not much of a sleeper anyway, but I mean it was not that inconvenient for me. But with Peacock. In this case, I was able to watch a lot more than I was able to in any other year.
Yep.
So I'm not complaining about it. I'm not complaining about the content. I'm complaining about the presentation.
Fair enough. Appreciate you, Brian. Thanks for the phone call. As we hit the bottom of the hour. Now, in 4 years, the Olympics are going to be in L.A. Do you have any interest heading to, now let's see, 4 years from now, it'll be your sophomore year of college. Do you have any interest in going to L.A., watching the Olympics before your sophomore year of school at the University of Michigan?
I have absolutely no interest in going to the Olympics in LA in 2028 unless I'm a broadcaster for it. No other reason.
So you want to be on the Noah Eagle train is what you're telling me.
That sounds pretty good to me.
By the way, let me tell you something about Noah Eagle. Noah Eagle has arrived. That is the best young sportscaster we've had in a long, long time. He had both gold medal games and called it like a seasoned vet. So impressed with his career arc and how well he's doing.
Noah Eagle has done a great job. Mike Tirico's a certified pro. Those guys did great jobs this Olympics.
Okay, so in 4 years, if you're in broadcasting in some capacity, that would be what you would. That'd be the only way you'd want to go to LA to work it.
I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, let's make that happen. They have a good broadcast department at Michigan.
They have a great broadcast department at Michigan. Look at Rich Eisen. Look at Adam Schefter. All those guys.
Oh, they're all from there too.
Rich Eisen, Adam Schefter, Tracy Wolfson.
All right, good. Then I expect you to be following in those footsteps.
Let's hope so.
Do. Very nice. Bottom of the hour. Let's send it over to Michael Plundo. He's standing by with his Sports Center update. As we continue here on Sports Talk, 505-6009. All right, Olympics out of the way. Thank you for that hot take. You're right there. I mean, your eye is going to be like completely. It's bloodshot to begin with. Would you like me to get you some eye drops?
Sunscreen in my eye. I'll fight through it.
Oh, you have sunscreen in your eye?
Sunscreen in my eye. It's
rough. That's the worst.
Pretty rough.
It is. Has it been like that all day?
Been like that since practice.
Oh God. All right. Well, I'll see if maybe we can help you flush that. You can just go to the bathroom and flush it out with some water.
I'll be good.
All right. Fair enough. Probably better.
It's radio. I don't need a look.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Totally agree. All right. First week of NFL preseason. Did you watch any of that? Since you already gave us your thoughts on the Olympics, what's your take on week 1 of the NFL preseason?
I love watching week 1 NFL preseason. Don't know if I can watch week 2. I mean, my eye isn't working, but week 1 was great. J.J. McCarthy looked incredible. I think all the rookie quarterbacks look pretty solid outside of Drake May. In my opinion, it's pretty great.
Yeah, by the way, McCarthy is somebody you've already predicted superstardom for
of course.
In terms of the NFL.
But first, we're going to get Sam Darnold to get a few wins, win that long-time bet we have against you. Sam Darnold to have a better career than Kenny Pickett, and then J.J. will take his place in a year or two.
Lane, are you concerned that Justin Herbert's not going to be a desirable fantasy quarterback knowing how much the Chargers could run the ball this year?
I was fully thinking about that today, and I said, maybe Justin Herbert isn't that air raid guy anymore. I don't think Justin Herbert's a guy who's going to throw the ball that much this season, especially coming off injury. That's a really good point, and I don't think he will be.
So you're saying that if you're not in a dynasty league, do you see him as somebody that's probably below the top 10 in terms of quarterback value? Where do you see him?
Let's not go crazy. Let's not go below top 10, but he's definitely not a top 5, top 3 guy for me anymore.
Where is he? Where do you fall? 5 to 10 or 6 to 10?
8 to 10.
8 to 10. All right, so bottom top 10.
Bottom top 10 for sure.
Yeah, I hear you. It's interesting. By the way, of all the rookie quarterbacks, who do you think looked the best?
I think JJ looked the best. I think Bo Nix looked pretty good. And Jane Daniels, Caleb showed flashes, and Caleb looked at some crazy plays that looked like Aaron Rodgers. Maybe Caleb.
Okay, I'm going to throw 5 rookie receivers at you, and if you had to pick one for fantasy football, who are you going with, okay?
I like this.
Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors for the Giants, your Giants, the Bears with Romo Dunze, Kansas City with Xavier Worthy, or Jacksonville with Brian Thomas Jr.?
Can I throw a different one out there?
Yeah.
Let's go Ladd McConkey. Los Angeles Chargers. He's going to start. He's their wide receiver number 3 right now. He's going to fit great in that system with the Chargers. Already taking Quentin Johnson's spot. I think that's a really good pick, Ladd McConkey.
So he's your favorite of the rookie receivers.
I think he's going to be the biggest surprise. My favorite.
Who do you think is going to have the best year? Like when you look at top to bottom.
Why not Ladd McConkey?
So you think Ladd McConkey?
Why not Ladd McConkey?
Well,
Marvin
Over
Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Okay, well, let's think about it. Can Kyler Murray stay healthy? Maybe not. And then who's getting Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball at that point?
Whoever, just throw him the football and he'll go get it. That's
Brian
what he
Thomas
does.
could be very solid.
Yeah.
I like Neighbors, man. Neighbors could be the guy. I
With
mean,
what
who
quarterback?
cares? Yeah, who cares if they have a bottom quarterback group in New York?
Hurt his
Well, they don't
ankle,
like to
but
throw
it's
the ball
not.
much.
But the ankle's not as severely injured as everybody was worried about yesterday.
I think with Hollywood Brown injury, Xavier Worthy could see a big role in this offense for the Chiefs. I know Andy Reid loves his speedster, so look for that.
All right, good predictions. Now, is there going to be any rookie running back, in your opinion, that's worthy of grabbing? Because Brooks is probably going to be number 2 on the depth chart. Plus, he's coming off the injury. Yep. Who do you like as far as rookie running backs this year?
I think Blake Corum is a great pick as a rookie running back, fitting perfectly into that Sean McVay system.
All right. So Blake Corum is your guy.
Blake Corum is my guy.
What about Benson with Arizona or Wright with Miami?
Trey Benson, obviously a really good running back, and I think Wright with Miami could be good too. But, Miami has some more running backs. And I think for Benson, they're not going to exactly run the ball as much with their running back. Kyler Murray will see more running action.
I'm going to give you a name you're going to have to think about. This is one that's not on your list, but I'm telling you, he's going to surprise some people this year. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving. Ooh, that's a good pull. Bucky Irving was great at Oregon for a few years, transferred to Minnesota. What a name, Bucky Irving.
And you want to know something? He's going to play in Tampa, and he's going to have a chance. So that's what I'm excited about right there.
We got to do a fantasy league here. ESPN 600.
You know what? That's what we need. There's 5 of us right now, plus we'll scrounge a few others together, and maybe we can do a fun little fantasy league. That'll be...
Guys, I've been trying to get out of leagues. I recently got out of one, so I'm trying to get off of all these leagues. I'm trying to get it so I'm in 2 leagues. I was in 5 last year, and it was ridiculous. I hated it.
You got to handle it. I've been in 6 before.
You know what? He quit one of the leagues I'm in. I was very upset with him because he quit this league. It's a good league, Dynasty League.
It's rough.
You keep guys every year. You have your rookie draft.
No
I've never done a
regrets.
Dynasty League before.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Should we do one?
No. He's upset about being in too many leagues. How are we gonna do a
How about
Dynasty
this?
League?
Do a Dynasty League, take a bye year. You don't have to play. You don't have to play much this year. Just have a team.
I'll have Angel Munoz, who has no clue about football, draft my team.
Dude, why don't you just auto pick?
That's no fun. I'll have somebody who has no clue
Wait,
pick mine.
so you're telling me you'd rather have somebody who doesn't even know sports pick than auto draft, which is no fun.
because the auto picks are going to give me a Brandon Ayuk or somebody like that who we have question marks right now going into the season.
Just have your wife pick.
Yeah, that would be a good one. See, she would have no clue about the teams or the players. She'd pick based on names or different colors, and so I think that would be great.
All right. More with Lane as we keep things moving here on Sports Talk. 505-6009. Stay with us. We continue. So we'll wrap things up with the host of Schoolyard Sports, who's making his return here on the show today. And before you know it, we'll be picking games with you, and excited about that part as well. Are you following baseball right now? Are you getting a chance to kind of get into things as we're heating up here in the middle of August?
Following baseball for sure. I had a great segment on Schoolyard Sports this week. My top 5 baseball hot takes.
Are they as hot as the take we just played on the Olympics?
They might be. Depends on how loyal of a fan you are.
What's your hottest take of the 5?
Okay, so I'll say a really good take that wasn't the hottest take is that Bobby Witt Jr. and Aaron Judge deserve to be co-MVPs. They both have had fantastic seasons. Give them the co-MVPs. But another take I had was, let's end the season in August. Okay, I get that people can get angry about not winning 62 games. Let's move the season up to February or March, and let's call it winter training. Maybe you start the season, let's call it March 1st instead of April 1st. You go into August 1st, or August now or whatever, because you can't get me to watch regular season baseball and there's football on. You can get me to watch playoff baseball and there's football on, but it's still hard. I'm going to stop watching baseball in about 2 weeks. When football's back on and basketball will soon be back on, it's more interesting to watch those sports, at least when baseball's towards the end. But if you have playoff baseball on, then I'm intrigued.
You can't play in February because it's too cold. It's too cold.
Boo-hoo.
Boo-hoo is whatever you want to say. It's too cold.
You can't play baseball in the cold, you're telling me?
Well, not these guys don't want to play when it's 30 degrees outside. No, and by the way, as a fan,
why not March? Why can't you start in March?
It's still cold in March.
No, it isn't.
In the not here, but in the East Coast, it's cold. Yeah, in Chicago, it's cold. Cleveland's cold. Do you ever see
always
the
cold in
first?
Chicago.
Do you ever see the first couple of weeks of the season and they're all bundled up and fans are like miserable? It sucks to go to baseball games around. Okay, not El Paso. I'm just talking about the northern part of the country. It's terrible.
I get what you're saying, but I still agree with my take.
So of course you agree with your take. You're the host of your own show. That's exactly right.
Stand with my take.
But here's I'm going to throw an alternate take at you. Maybe we can make a compromise. Okay, season starts when it does, but we just shorten the schedule of games. Do we actually need 162 games in the regular season?
Yes, because that's history, Steve. History, tradition, everything.
Go back to 154.
Nobody's ever going to break a record again if we go back to 162. If we move away from 162.
Nobody's going to break what?
A record again if we move away from 162.
Well, I mean, people aren't even counting the records that were made during 162. If you think about it, okay, who is our single-season home run champion?
Barry Bonds, 73.
How many people recognize Barry Bonds that are baseball fans as the single-season home run champion?
I think everybody.
No, you'd be surprised.
You wouldn't?
I'm not saying me. I'm talking now. Listen.
Then who is?
I'm just talking about. I'm talking about people that still believe that Bonds did it when he was on the juice.
Okay, and who's number 2? McGuire.
Does he count?
That's what I'm saying. If you're not going to count Bonds, don't count McGuire. And
right.
Then who's your number 3?
Don't count Sosa.
Roger Maris.
So Roger Maris would still be considered people.
Now Judge.
No, well, that's true too. You could look at Judge. Good point. But you see where I'm getting at here with this whole thing is that you're right. Records would shatter at 154 versus 162. I don't know. I get the debate about the season and it's too long. I don't disagree with you. It's a very, very long regular season. And it hurts in September, the last month of the regular season, because you do have football. There's no. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not sure what the real solution is, because starting the season early would make people miserable, because if you try to play baseball regular season games in February or March, it would be really, really rough.
I think it would be too, but I still want season to end sooner. But I want 162 games, and that's my only compromise.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Listen, you don't want. It still snows in February and March around certain parts of the country. We can't play in snow.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, you want to see snowball?
That would be fun.
Okay.
Play a baseball game in a snowball?
Yeah, a little snowball. That'd be. You ever played tennis in the snow?
Never played tennis in the snow. Could be fun.
Would you like to play tennis in the snow?
I don't think it'd be possible to. You can't play tennis in the elements. We couldn't even play today. Lightning. Lightning 15 miles away. We can play.
We haven't even had a National Weather Service alert yet today. There was lightning 15 minutes away.
Trainer said so. Couldn't play.
Trainer wanted to go home.
Yeah. Were you upset, by the way? When you heard that announcement, did you say to yourself, "Oh my God, I put on sunscreen, got it in my eyes, and I can't even get a chance to play today"? Was that just brutal?
It was pretty rough because we had to wait 30 minutes. Now we went on the court, and then after a minute of being in the court, we had to leave. Joke.
How long before the Olympics accepts pickleball?
I think it should happen by 2028.
You know it's coming.
So I watched I actually watched the whole video on it this morning, and I have grown to like pickleball after I played it once, and I kind of enjoy it now. Because it's a whole league. You get former tennis players into it. It's fun because these old tennis players are going to be good at it. Look at Sam Querrey. Look at Jack Sock. These guys are good, and you still have your number one, Ben Johns. There's 3 big leagues pickleball right now. They're trying to merge them all into one and then get them played in more countries, and then pickleball can be an Olympic sport.
A super pickleball league is what you're basically talking about.
And then we get it in one Olympics. That's
good. By the way, that was a take that nobody expected from you. That is a complete 180.
You hated pickleball.
Yes.
I enjoy pickleball now. You know what also should be in the Olympics? Paddle. Second most played sport in Spain.
Paddle?
Paddle. It's like tennis.
All
They're building one here.
Are they?
My dad plays that.
It's fun.
In Houston?
Yeah, and here when he comes.
Here.
Yeah. So we need some. So we want Olympic paddle.
Olympic paddle, for sure.
Did you ever watch? Okay, yesterday I was watching Japan against China in the female table tennis gold medal match.
That must have been fun.
It was crazy to see. First off, they're right on top of the table. Number one.
Of course.
And they hit so fast, and yet China beat up on Japan, man. It was crazy to watch. Oh, yeah. And yet the speed of how they play, and that's something to watch.
The technique in ping pong, I'll never understand. I mean, it's incredible what these people can do.
You ready for Gator Richard before we end the hour?
Oh, yes. I was thinking about this right before that Brian called. I was going to be like, let's get Gator Richard on here sometime.
Well, guess what? Your wish is his command because Gator Richard is calling in. Richard, you're on with Lane Frank.
Hey, go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Knowles.
Last time I called in to talk to Centaur when he had him on live that week that you guys left him by himself with I guess that quarterback was chaperoning him. He didn't let Centaur answer my question about the coaching, but that's fine because
you've waited how many months to bring this up? What, this was back in February, and now you're bringing up a topic 6 months later since he's back on the show.
No, I'm just saying.
All right.
So you can ask young Sheldon there what he thinks a hairball now that he's found guilty. And if he thinks that the penalty or whatever that they put on Michigan is just.
All right, let's find out.
I say they should vacate all last season and the season before, vacate all their wins, just like, if they're serious about sending a message about cheating and sign stealing and hairball. I want my day in court. I watched Judge Judy, like he's a stand-up comic. Okay.
Hang on. Let me give Lane his chance.
In Florida, he'd be arrested.
Let's let Lane weigh on this. All right, your turn. Go ahead.
All right, first off, Gator Richard, go Knowles. And second thing, do you have Netflix?
I do have Netflix.
There's a documentary coming out in 2 weeks on Connor Stallions, the Michigan sign stealer, where he tells everything that went on. So I want you to watch that in 2 weeks where I think it will clear Michigan's name of everything. Now, Stallions was in the wrong. He admits to being in the wrong. He acted alone. This had no effect on Michigan football the past 3 years, in my opinion.
It had all
and they won fair and square.
On Michigan football. They cheated, and they won cheating. There's a difference.
How's Florida been as a program? Florida's been nothing. Maybe they should have been cheating like Michigan. Maybe they should have been.
Florida doesn't cheat like Michigan.
Oh, wait a minute. They were cheating when Spurrier was head coach.
Urban Meyer was your head coach. I think they were cheating when Urban Meyer.
Of course they were cheating when Spurrier was head coach.
Not.
Oh, they were.
Urban Meyer.
Were they cheating when Urban Meyer was head coach? Yes.
Yes. Watch Swamp Kings, also on Netflix. Documentary about the Urban Meyer days at Florida.
Go Gators.
Go Knowles.
All right. That's the end of Gator Richard here on the show. Give me a preview of 178, which will be dropping later this week. Have you started planning the show and what you're going to be covering here on 178?
We've got a lot of great things coming up in next week's for Schoolyard Sports. Going to have a lot of great red carpet interviews on 179. Going to have a great interview on 180. Hopefully 181 too. Got some stuff in the works. But 178, still thinking of some things. If anybody wants to give a suggestion, please at ESPN 600 or me. Filming tomorrow.
Let's talk about one thing. The Pump Brothers annual celebrity gala is this weekend. You will be there on the red carpet like you've been the last few years. You get a chance to go one-on-one with all of the celebs that come out there. That's one of my most... I was there with you last year. I enjoyed it. Loved watching you work. Enjoyed being a part of it. And I know for you, it's got to be one of your most excited events of the year.
It was such a great event. Really looking forward to it again this year.
All right, so we'll wait for that.
AI's going to be there. Allen Iverson.
That's gonna
Lawrence
be great.
Taylor. There you go.
Lawrence Taylor, one of my all-time faves.
Ooh.
I met Lawrence Taylor at a hotel resort in Phoenix when they were playing the Cardinals. We tried to get his autograph. We found out what room he was in. There was a ton of people in there. Then he opened the door, cracked it open, saw it was us. We asked if we could get his autograph. He looked at us and said, nah, closed the door, and that was the end of that.
Maybe I'll ask him about it.
Do it. Yeah, say, hey, Lawrence, remember when some teenagers tried to get your autograph in the 80s when you were playing the Giants in Phoenix and you are playing the Cardinals in Phoenix? You get a good answer on that one. That'll be perfect. Enjoy yourself. Have a great time. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate it. Great to be back here, guys.
Great to have you. That's Lane Frank, folks, the host of Schoolyard Sports. All right, 2 down, 1 to go. We'll come back with more in a moment right here, 600 ESPN El Paso.
Fluids and Adrian Broadus.
All right, 2 down, 1 to go. Welcome back, everybody. We continue here on the show. Our thanks to Lane Frank for joining us. Alberto Duetta, Michael Plundo, Adrian Broadus, along for the ride. I'm Steve Kaplow. It's great to have you back. 600 ESPN El Paso. Checking Twitter and X. Esteban chimes in. Steve, back to the topic of zero. Hey, I didn't realize he's bringing the topic of zero back.
He must have listened to the podcast. Welcome back, Esteban.
He must have. There is no zero in the Roman numeral system. But the Fix does have a song from the 80s, Saved by Zero. You should play it for an intro to the show. Now, Esteban, that's a great point. You're 100% right. I saw the Fix live in El Paso about 25 years ago. They played a club. They were amazing. I was a huge Fix fan, in the 80s, in my teenage years. So they were big. Rock band, pop, whatever you want to call them, back in the 80s. But yes, Saved by Zero is definitely one of their songs. I'm pretty sure it's in our library anyway. So yes, we will play that coming out of the next break for you. We will add that to our list of intros on the show because you're right. Saved by Zero was a popular song. You guys ever heard it or no? You guys
Never heard it.
I got a better one for you. Do you guys even know who the Fix is?
No clue.
Oh, God. It's that time. This is this is the hardest part for me. And this is where I feel like, I'm much closer in age probably to Esteban than I am the three of you. So, I mean, like, Esteban lived the 80s. I did too. And the Fix was a big band back in the mid-80s. They had songs like Stand or Fall, Saved by Zero, Red Skies Tonight. You never heard any of these songs? No?
I'm trying to listen to Saved by Zero real quick.
It's a great
and The
song.
Sign of Fire. I'm trying to listen to those two.
All right. Oh, man, I'm surprised. Well, no, I'm not surprised. Anyway, the Fix is good. They had good stuff. And, the fact that we got a little zero comment from our pal Esteban is always a win. And, listen, I can relate. To you're like watching a video. Is that you're watching a video from the 80s?
I'm watching a video from the 80s, Steve. In fact, MTV's early, edition of like featuring London artists.
Yes, VJs.
Yeah, I'm seeing this. I'm trying to look at also similar artists. The only similar artist I know from the Fix is the Cars. I also see Missing Persons, Naked Eyes, Wang Chung.
Oh, they're all great bands.
Thomas Dolby, Till Tuesday, and A Flock of Seagulls. No clue.
I'm going to say this, okay? So here are some of the great songs I'm going to give you from the Fix right now. Number 1, Red Skies. One Thing Leads to Another is a classic. Stand or Fall was one of my favorites. That was from 82. Mentioned Saved by Zero. Are We Ourselves? That's great. Deeper and Deeper is a great song as well. And then you've also got Secret Separation, which was good. So there's a lot of good stuff from the Fix. And like I said, when I saw them live, they played, God, where were they? I can't recall if they played the Stampede back in the day. I feel like they played either No, you know where they played? They played 101 Downtown. 101 Downtown, probably around 97 or 98. And they were awesome.
I feel like so many great bands went to Club 101 downtown.
They did. And I'll say this, too. The greatest thing about working at this radio station over the last 29 years was any concert. This goes back long before the way it is now. Now it's much tougher. Now that you've got promotional companies, they don't give tickets nearly as freely as they used to, and when you do get tickets, you're probably sitting in the bleeds. But back in the day, we're talking 90s into the 2000s, when you wanted to go see a show at this station, you had no problem, none whatsoever, and we saw everybody, anybody you wanted to watch that we played on these radio stations, and they came touring, it was done, just as it was so easy. So, and when I used to work on the Q in the old days, in the 90s, one of my jobs would be sometimes to pick up the band members and get them at the hotel and take them to the radio station for the live interviews. That was always a real treat. So, it's I think I once had a chance to pick up Rudolf Schenker, who is the guitarist for the Scorpions. They were in town for a show and went and drove to went to the whatchamacallit. Then it wasn't. It's not. It's the Plaza, but it was before the Plaza. It was the other hotel I'm thinking of.
Camino Real?
The Camino. Yeah, picked up Rudolph at the Camino, took him to the station, and that was it. And that was great. So why do I feel like Esteban and I are going to bond over 80s rock more than anything else right now? I feel like after all these years, I finally have something we might have in common. We like the same kind of music.
Yeah, I feel like the next time we see Esteban in person, you might get a couple, or I might get a couple of recommendations on what we should do as far as our openers go.
There you go. Well, I mean, listen, I can help you with the 80s if you want to just throw some new 80s songs out that we can make that happen.
Sounds great.
80s was a good decade for rock music. I mean, the big debate is going to be 70s versus 80s. I mean, some will say 90s because that was the grunge era and alternative, and the height of that was the 90s. So it's always a really good topic of debate also. Best decade of music: 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And if you're old enough to remember the 50s and doo-wop, some will probably throw 50s in there as well, because that was kind of the birth of rock and roll, when you think about that too. So, yeah, good topics. Like it. Non-sports, fun, and Esteban getting us started on that today. All right, 505-6009, our telephone number as we continue. How nervous were all of you when it came to the U.S. Olympic basketball team thinking they might find a way to screw it up and not win a gold in Paris?
First, I just want to say I really enjoyed it. I probably didn't get as nervous as maybe others. I actually thought the U.S. held in control, and I thought that France was going to have to prove it. There were a couple points where I was thinking to myself, wait a second, can Wemby become a legend? Like, while we're actually watching this, like right in front of our eyes, hitting all these threes, and can he will this team to victory alone? And the answer to that was no. I felt like Steph just reminded everybody why he's the greatest shooter of all time, and that shot from the hip that he had contested, that was ridiculous. This is about as ridiculous of a shot to go in as it gets. But when you saw him getting hot, Steve, there's no one in the world who's going to beat him like that. And that LeBron-Steph Curry pick and roll, if that ever happened in the NBA, I think that'd be a really difficult play to stop.
Is that what's so much fun about watching the Olympics is sometimes you get players that are on different conferences that you would never see normally play together in any situation get a chance to do it against the best that the world has to offer.
Yeah, and the timing was right because Steph, KD, and LeBron are probably not going to be back, or maybe Steph is back by LA and maybe somehow an old KD, but you're not telling me a 44-year-old LeBron is coming back to Team USA for the LA version. So this felt like the last time, and it felt like LeBron was playing like this Magic Johnson role. I mean, the last two games, the semifinal game against Serbia and then this one against France, he didn't really have to be the guy. He could be the facilitator. He was Magic Johnson, the point guard, just distributing it. And I was thinking to myself, man, what would have happened if LeBron actually played this role throughout his entire career and he was more of a facilitator? We know him as the all-time scoring leader in NBA history, but he was never like this distributing guy until the last 4 or 5 years.
That's true. It's almost like he's adding just a new dimension to his game.
Yeah, and I left this one so much. I felt like, man, Wembanyama's the next face. He's like the next face of maybe the world. Like, France might win LA 2028 if U.S. isn't worried about or isn't careful about it. Devin Booker and Anthony Edwards are the strong pieces that you get excited about for the future of Team USA. But Victor Wembanyama, man, he's going to be the face of basketball here in the near future.
So Wemby, you think, has the opportunity to, I mean, because listen, if he's the face of the NBA, which I could totally see, the only question is going to be, when his career is all said and done, will he be a bigger legend in San Antonio than Tim Duncan?
Ooh.
Because Tim Duncan right now, many believe, is the best power forward of all time.
And I would agree with that. I actually would say he's number one, in my opinion, my eyes, for sure. Tim Duncan, I think he's arguably a top 5 player. I think he's underrated. He never talks about himself. You never see any sort of media about him. He's not a marketable player, but he did what he did, and then that's win a ton of games and a ton of titles with that Spurs group, and he was the guy. He was the focal point. He may not have been as flashy as everybody else, but he did everything you needed to do to win. He rebounded. He played great defense, scored down low, and was so fun to fundamentally sound that he was, part of so much success for the Spurs. So I think to ask to be better than that is for Wemby to be a top 5 player of all time. So I don't know if I don't know if that's going to be happening for Victor Wembanyama just as of right now. I think that's let's talk after 1 or 2 or 3 NBA titles.
I was going to say, the poor guy has just played his rookie season, and I feel like, yes, potential through the roof, but we got to give him a chance to settle in, right?
Right, and win, and even make the playoffs, and make an All-NBA team, and become the Defensive Player of the Year, win an MVP award. I mean, there's so many accolades that Tim Duncan did during his time that Victor Wembanyama still has a chance to do in his young career.
That's so true. Anyway, but that's a good takeaway, I think, from watching Olympic basketball. And unlike listening to Lane last hour, who wants it to go away, and I feel like part of me understands. To Lane, NBA players winning a gold might not be the same kind of impact as track and field or swimming or boxing or other sports that you do train 4 years for the Olympics versus just taking a break during your NBA offseason to go spend a couple of weeks in Paris. I get that. I do. But don't get me wrong. If LeBron James didn't want to be there after all these years, he wouldn't go. So part of me thinks that a lot of these guys like Steph and LeBron, they don't need the Olympics. So for them to go, to win, and do it the way, it does mean something to them. Because if not, they would have blown it off like so many have in the past.
For sure. And going back to the Victor Wembanyama talk, I definitely think he could be the face of San Antonio and of the Spurs organization. But first, there's got to be some winning that's got to be done here in San Antonio. The Spurs, they're searching for a playoff appearance, their first since 2019, and their first playoff series win, which last came in 2018. And not to mention, Tim Duncan was a 5-time NBA champion, a 3-time Finals MVP, and he won the MVP award twice in his career. So Wemby's got some big shoes to fill, but with what he already showed in his rookie season, I'm confident that he can at least come close to these accolades that Duncan has.
And look at what he did at the end of the Olympics, Steve. He's like in tears, like sobbing. You tell me that it doesn't mean anything to Victor Wembanyama? It did. Look at what Steph did and how excited he was afterward. Look at all the players afterward just celebrating and embracing each other. They're never going to be with each other like this in this kind of capacity.
True.
For Team USA. So yeah, I get it. There's a part of me that says, well, hey, how valid is this? Even the golf side of it. Is this the 5th major right here? For the year? No, it's not. But I feel like the Olympics is what it is. You put on for your country. There are other countries out there who care and value this so much. So why can't the U.S. celebrate and take a victory lap when they win at the highest levels?
Did you watch the live performances yesterday from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and some of the other musical acts when they shifted over to L.A. and gave us a little taste of what L.A. in 28 is going to be like?
I didn't. I need to go back and watch this. This sounds very interesting.
It was. If you like music, there was a lot of performances in that regard, too. All right, 17 past as we continue on Sports Talk. More to talk about right after Charlie One, who's back with this traffic update. I'm excited about this announcement, a big announcement, and that is our fall football countdown is on, and EPCC, El Paso Community College, is one of our great sponsors of our football countdown. This week, we are going to feature 1-6A. We're going to talk about the Eastwood Troopers in a moment, but I'm also very excited about the fact that to kick off the extended hours coming up at EPCC this Saturday at 10 a.m., is this right, Adrian? I'm not sure I'm reading this right.
This is right. This is this good of a deal. We got to tell it to everybody here on Sports Talk, Steve.
The first 90 students who come in person to Valle Verde and register full-time, which means 12 hours or more, will receive a book voucher for up to $500. Let me repeat this. This Saturday, August 17th, at 10 a.m., the first 90 students who come in person to Valle Verde and register full-time at EPCC, 12 hours or more, are going to receive a book voucher for up to $500. That is a terrific deal from EPCC They've been serving the borderland for 55 years, Adrian. That's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, EPCC's got over 145 programs and degrees. Hey, if you've done some kind of college in the past and you're already in your career field, check out EPCC. They might have career-ready degrees for you. They might actually have some really good opportunities in the workforce, like welding, HVAC, solar power, nursing, other health-related fields as well. You could also check out their new audio tech program. Maybe you could be an engineer on this radio station in the future, work behind the scenes as a producer in the future or something like that, which is so cool. Don't forget, I mean, we're talking sports here on Sports Talk, right, Steve, so kinesiology degrees out at EPCC are also available, and they do so much in this community. They do so many programs in the actual field, and you can get certified and on the job in less than 12 months.
Little known fact, 10 years ago, I was an audio production instructor at EPCC on Saturdays. One of my students, Sal Montes.
Full circle. I love it.
Another one of my students, Chris Hanna, who has Now or Never, the Tony Romo story among all the projects he's had with ZGM Productions. Two of my students during the time I was at EPCC at Valle Verde. 919 Hunter Drive, by the way, folks. 919 Hunter Drive. And make sure you're there this Saturday at 10 a.m. and take that book voucher. That's a given money to you. And I know how expensive books are, by the way. They're not cheap. So you're going to want that book voucher, and there's a reason why this Saturday should be your time to sign up.
I know they're helping out with our football countdown, Steve, but El Paso Community College, for all the high school athletes out there, not talking football, they've got baseball, they've got softball, they've got cross country. EPCC is one of the most recognized cross country programs in the country. So even if you want to continue your sports at the next level, well, think about EPCC as well.
Let's focus on the Eastwood Troopers, since we're talking 1-6A, a team that last season went 9-3, undefeated in 1-6A. They were co-district champs, 8-0, 9-3 overall under longtime head coach Julio Lopez. Here's my question with this team, okay? The only question I have is this. They're about as consistent a high school program as you're going to find. But this year, they've lost so much. They only have 9 returning starters on both sides of the ball, only 3 on offense. Is this the year where the word rebuild finally comes into play at Eastwood, or is Coach Lopez just going to reload like they always do and figure out a way to contend at the top of the district?
So the last 3 of the last 4 seasons, they won a district title, or at least a share of it, Steve. And the only year they didn't make it, they went to the Sweet 16 of the 6A state playoffs, which is crazy. That year was, quote-unquote, a rebuild or a down year, as some would think. But yet they still made it all the way to the Sweet 16. And I think that's a testament to the program that Julio Lopez has built out there at Eastwood. I think they've retooled with some great skill position players who are returning, just like you mentioned. That's really it. They got some skill position players at the wide receiver spot coming back from last year, and then they got the defense, led by guys like Conrad Joseph Garcia. They've got Jonathan Hernandez, who's pretty stellar on the defensive side. Deja Duran, also a safety there to keep an eye out for. But, the offense is going to be a lot of new faces. So I expect this Eastwood Troopers team to, find out what they have, find out their identity in the non-district portion of the season, and then really gear up for district play where it counts for them to try to make it into the playoffs again.
It's so hard to say that Eastwood would ever take a step back, because it seems like that's just not in their vocabulary, no matter how many new faces they have every season.
Yeah, and now you talk about a little bit of turnover in the district, right? You also talk about El Dorado moving down, America's moving down to the 5A rank. So you have the likes of Pebble Hills, who made a coaching change over the offseason. Yep. Now it's Ryan Warner over there instead of Mark Torres. You talk about Franklin. They lose Shea Smith. They lose a lot of production on that team from last year, and they're going to have to retool and reshape into a new group. I like the Eastlake squad, head coach Ruben Rodriguez. I like Luke Lamelli, and I like Coronado. Those are the 2 teams that bring back production from last year. But Montwood, Socorro, I have question marks with those 2 teams, so that brings me to Eastwood thinking maybe they can find themselves back in the playoffs, even though they lack experience.
Oh, it's such a great question, and something we can definitely talk about here in the days and weeks to come as we close in on Football Friday night, which, by the way, is 2 weeks from Friday. We're almost here already.
Yeah, it feels like it's here. I mean, we're having a staff meeting this Wednesday, talk a little Football Friday night among our group, but it feels like it's here already. Steve, this should be a really interesting season. A lot of great prospects. It's headlined by guys like Davion Singleton, Jake Fetty, Fetty quarterback for Del Valle and Singleton, all-around athlete for Chapin. So those are the two guys who headline things. But, I didn't mention Manny Fuller, who's a Utah commit already. I didn't mention Ray Estrada out at El Dorado, who's a standout as well and has tons of D1 offers. Morales out at Franklin at the offensive line position, already racking up Power 4 offers. So a lot of great prospects in the city.
Man, can't wait to keep talking this up as we keep things moving. But first, bottom of the hour, let's send it back to Michael one last time for a Sports Center update. I'm excited about this announcement, a big announcement, and that is our fall football countdown is on, and EPCC, El Paso Community College, is one of our great sponsors of our football countdown. This week, we are going to feature 1-6A. We're going to talk about the Eastwood Troopers in a moment, but I'm also very excited about the fact that to kick off the extended hours coming up at EPCC this Saturday at 10 a.m. Is this right, Adrian? I'm not sure I'm reading this right.
This is right. This is this good of a deal. We got to tell it to everybody here on Sports Talk, Steve.
The first 90 students who come in person to Valle Verde and register full-time, which means 12 hours or more, will receive a book voucher for up to $500. Let me repeat this. This Saturday, August 17th at 10 a.m., the first 90 students who come in person to Valle Verde and register full-time at EPCC, 12 hours or more, are going to receive a book voucher for up to $500. That is a terrific deal from EPCC. They've been serving the borderland for 55 years, Adrian. That's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, EPCC's got over 145 programs and degrees. Hey, if you've done some kind of college in the past and you're already in your career field, check out EPCC. They might have career-ready degrees for you. They might actually have some really good opportunities in the workforce, like welding, HVAC, solar power, nursing, other health-related fields as well. You could also check out their new audio tech program. Maybe you could be an engineer on this radio station in the future, work behind the scenes as a producer in the future or something like that, which is so cool. Don't forget, I mean, we're talking sports here on Sports Talk, right, Steve, so kinesiology degrees out at EPCC are also available, and they do so much in this community. They do so many programs in the actual field, and you can get certified and on the job in less than 12 months.
Little known fact, 10 years ago, I was an audio production instructor at EPCC on Saturdays. One of my students, Sal Montes.
Full circle. I love it.
Another one of my students, Chris Hanna, who has Now or Never, the Tony Romo story, among all the projects he's had with ZGM Productions. Two of my students during the time I was at EPCC at Valle Verde. 919 Hunter Drive, by the way, folks. 919 Hunter Drive. And make sure you're there this Saturday at 10 a.m. and take that book voucher. That's a given money to you. And I know how expensive books are, by the way. They're not cheap. So you're going to want that book voucher, and there's a reason why this Saturday should be your time to sign up.
I know they're helping out with our football countdown, Steve, but El Paso Community College, for all the high school athletes out there, not talking football, they've got baseball, they've got softball, they've got cross country. EPCC is one of the most recognized cross country programs in the country. So even if you want to continue your sports at the next level, well, think about EPCC as well.
Let's focus on the Eastwood Troopers, since we're talking 1-6A, a team that last season went 9-3, undefeated in 1-6A. They were co-district champs, 8-0, 9-3 overall under longtime head coach Julio Lopez. Here's my question with this team, okay? The only question I have is this. They're about as consistent a high school program as you're going to find. But this year, they've lost so much. They only have 9 returning starters on both sides of the ball. only 3 on offense. Is this the year where the word rebuild finally comes into play at Eastwood, or is Coach Lopez just going to reload like they always do and figure out a way to contend at the top of the district?
So the last 3 of the last 4 seasons, they won a district title, or at least a share of it, Steve. And the only year they didn't make it, they went to the Sweet 16 of the 6A state playoffs, which is crazy. That year was, quote-unquote, a rebuild or a down year, as some would think. But yet they still made it all the way to the Sweet 16. And I think that's a testament to the program that Julio Lopez has built out there at Eastwood. I think they've retooled with some great skill position players who are returning, just like you mentioned. That's really it. They got some skill position players at the wide receiver spot coming back from last year, and then they got the defense, led by guys like Conrad Joseph Garcia. They've got Jonathan Hernandez, who's pretty stellar on the defensive side. Dej Duran, also a safety there to keep an eye out for. But, the offense is going to be a lot of new faces. So I expect this Eastwood Troopers team to, find out what they have, find out their identity in the non-district portion of the season, and then really gear up for district play where it counts for them to try to make it into the playoffs again.
It's so hard to say that Eastwood would ever take a step back, because it seems like that's just not in their vocabulary, no matter how many new faces they have every season.
Yeah, and now you talk about a little bit of turnover in the district, right? You also talk about El Dorado moving down, America's moving down to the 5A ranks. So you have the likes of Pebble Hills, who made a coaching change over the offseason. Yep. Now it's Ryan Warner over there instead of Mark Torres. You talk about Franklin. They lose Shea Smith. They lose a lot of production on that team from last year, and they're going to have to retool and reshape into a new group. I like the Eastlake squad, head coach Ruben Rodriguez. I like Luke Lamelli, and I like Coronado. Those are the 2 teams that bring back production from last year. But Montwood Socorro, I have question marks with those 2 teams, so that brings me to Eastwood thinking maybe they can find themselves back in the playoffs, even though they lack experience.
Oh, it's such a great question, and something we can definitely talk about here in the days and weeks to come as we close in on Football Friday night, which, by the way, is 2 weeks from Friday. We're almost here already.
Yeah, it feels like it's here. I mean, we're having a staff meeting this Wednesday to talk a little Football Friday night among our group, but it feels like it's here already. Steve, this should be a really interesting season. A lot of great prospects. It's headlined by guys like Davion Singleton, Jake Fetty, quarterback for Del Valle and Singleton, all-around athlete for Chapin. So those are the 2 guys who headline things. But, I didn't mention Manny Fuller, who's a Utah commit already. I didn't mention Ray Estrada out at El Dorado, who's a standout as well and has tons of D1 offers. Morales out at Franklin at the offensive line position, already racking up Power 4 offers. So a lot of great prospects in the city.
Man, can't wait to keep talking this up as we keep things moving. But first, bottom of the hour, let's send it back to Michael one last time for a Sports Center update. All right,
that was great. I love you, Alberto.
Oh man, I didn't even realize that SportsCenter was coming to an end. We'll talk about that during the break. That's for sure. Anyway, all right, 505-6009. That is our telephone number as we continue here on Sports Talk. I'm having. How can I put this? He's not even a teenager yet, but I feel like I'm already having teenage issues with someone who's still at least like 9 months from becoming officially a teen.
So it's that preteen stuff, huh, Steve? How do you feel about having a middle schooler? That's just it right there. It's prime middle school.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Let's put it that way. I worked so hard on having him listen to like 80s rock, like hard rock and all that stuff. And now everything I've done flushed down the toilet because of what all his buddies are listening to.
Yeah, man. I wish I could tell you that it gets different, at some point, but it probably only gets worse. What you instilled is a love of music to your son, Steve. But I could sympathize right here because my dad, I grew up on only rock and only classic rock and only 80s and 70s music, and my favorite music right now is rap. So there you go.
Let me tell you this. his YouTube app on his phone and is going to be restricted more than ever before.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I hear you.
Should have seen what I've been dealing with during this. I'll tell you during the break. You'll find
The
out.
search history is revealing itself?
No, he wants a walk-up song that's just a wee bit inappropriate.
Okay. Got it.
Lyrics
Yeah.
that, quite frankly, have no business being said in any capacity, let alone at a 14U fall baseball game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the TikTok culture and the new music that's out right now.
Oh, I won't even let him have TikTok or Snapchat.
Yeah.
He wants Snapchat. That's no.
When you get it secondhand, that's even worse, right? Because now you're just watching Instagram reels of things that were on TikTok or things that were on Snapchat and stuff like that. It's no go, man.
No, that's true. Hey, did we get an answer on the county commissioners today and if they voted the $350 million quality of life bond? Did that officially happen? Do we know?
I think it happened. I'll get you the results. Yeah, I think it happened.
Okay, because the story I saw was that, okay, it is. I think it did go through. All right, so,
Yeah,
yes,
I got
I'm looking at El Paso Matters, and they say that voters in November will decide whether to approve a bond election for multiple projects throughout El Paso County, which will raise the county's portion of a tax bill by about $60 per year on an average value home.
Yeah, and this is headlined, Steve, we're going to be talking about a lot of the quality of life stuff, but this is really the bond election coming up in November. It's really going to be headlined by the what the University Medical Center is looking for on their side, right?
There's going to be essentially 5 parts to it. They're going to have 19 projects for Parks and Rec, improvements to Escalante Park, neighborhood parks, regional trails, and related facilities. That's $96 million. They also want to allow the county to construct a new medical examiner office at the cost of $27 million. They want to allow the county to make improvements to the El Paso County Courthouse, sub-courthouses, and related annexes, including Corbin, Sombrano, Isleta, and Far East Montana, for about $63 million. Prop D, this is the big one, would allow the county to fund a county coliseum master plan, including the renovation of the county coliseum and adjacent facilities for about $105 million.
That's really interesting, Steve. How does that conflict? Okay, so we're talking Prop A was Escalante.
Yep.
Prop B was about
Medical
like
examiners.
UMC or whatever
Right.
that is. Prop C, we're talking courthouse. That's what you just mentioned right there.
Yep.
So how does Prop D, the county coliseum, has nothing to do whatsoever with county facilities with Escalante, to your understanding, correct?
No. Escalante was grouped into A. A is 19 projects, improvements for Escalante Park, neighborhood parks, regional trails, related facilities. That's the $96 million proponent. Proposition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
By the way, are you allowed? Do you have to vote them all? Do you have to vote them all through, or could you vote? Can you pick and choose? How does that work?
No, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
See, I'm trying to find that out too. That is interesting. And by the way, the last one after the Coliseum is Prop E. That would allow the county to build a new animal shelter for about $33 million.
We have a lot of priorities, man, as a city. I mean, this is what it tells me right here is, number one, there are a lot of different things that the city is looking for, the county is looking for, a lot of different places. One place that did not get on this, like we've talked about previously, UTEP Sun Bowl, the Sun Bowl project, it is not on this list. It is not, according to Commissioner's Court and the county commissioners over here, atop the priority list.
Understand this. The Sun Bowl is not owned by the county. It's owned by the UT system. The Coliseum is owned by the county. Big difference when you talk about two facilities with similar needs, similar wish lists, similar cost. One is county owned. The other was given back to the UT system. If the county still owned the Sun Bowl, you probably would not be talking about it not making the ballot. But it's not. Big difference when they have control of one venue and not the other.
Yeah, I would say also, I mean, if this is truly quality of life, right, this is truly that kind of thing, then you factor into the Sun Bowl in that kind of conversation because it's adding to the quality of life in this city. Now, some would argue, well, I never go, and all that kind of stuff. Sure, I understand that, which is why these kind of things are really important. Some might say, I never go to the Coliseum. Why would I ever vote Prop D in this? You know, that kind of thing. But at the same time, you talked about the adjacent facilities. You talked about just that improvement with the County Coliseum, and if that is a priority to some El Pasoans right there, they want to see arts and entertainment continue to improve and more sporting events to come out to the Coliseum, then necessary upgrades are there, or at least can be voted upon by people here in November.
You're right. All right, 39 past the hour as we continue on Sports Talk. We'll come back. We'll talk more about this, wrap things up. Final countdown right here, 600 ESPN El Paso.